The Sephora Savings Event is coming. Are you ready to get
this and that? I don't gotta choose.
You're right. You don't. Shop all your favorite makeup, skincare, hair care, and fragrances for less. Find brands like Rare Beauty, Glow Recipe, Valentino, K18, and everything else you want on sale starting November 1st. The Sephora Savings Event is almost here. Shop the sale at Sephora and Sephora at Kohl's. Limitations apply. Must be a beauty insider. See terms at Sephora.com for complete details.
From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show. Now, it's time for Protecting Your Investments, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Larry Kudlow.
It's now time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by the Colonial Metals Group. Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals. Today, we're talking about money and politics, protecting your financial future, and somebody's got protected. And by the way, gold is soaring and silver is soaring, so people are worried about their future. But we're going to talk about all that. I hope we have Liz Peek, Fox News contributor and syndicated columnist, Charlie Gasparino, Fox Business senior correspondent, New York Post columnist, and Charlie's latest book, Go Woke, Go Broke, the inside story of the radicalization of corporate America. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Charlie, I have to ask you something. You know this guy, Mark Cuban. There's an editorial, Wall Street Journal, long editorial this morning. Mark Cuban says Kamala Harris knows better than to have a billionaire's minimum tax or a tax on unrealized capital gains. He keeps saying this. He's out on the campaign trail. He's a billionaire. He's a TV personality of sorts. But she's not. She continues to argue in favor of a billionaire's minimum tax and tax on unrealized capital gains. What's up with Cuban? You know him? What? Tell me about him.
I know him well, and just so you know, I've been having this argument with him for months now, and most of it is over DMs on Twitter DM. But listen, he despises Trump. God knows why. I mean, they clearly had a falling out. I mean, if Cuban would say that, he just disagrees with Donald Trump's, crass disposition and doesn't think he's economically literate and blah, 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 blah. The Trump people tell me that Trump distanced himself from him, wouldn't put him in an administration. So he turned on him, and he's kind of pulling a Scaramucci, as you might think, as you might say.
Right.
I don't know where it is, but listen. Here's what I would say. I think you got to look at what Cuban says and put it to the test of facts. 99% of what he says about Donald Trump is simply not true. He said he was on Neil Cavuto's show on Fox Business the other day saying it's okay to call Trump a fascist. Now, if you have the basic sort of knowledge of fascism, that's government control and coercion of private businesses. It's what Mussolini did, what Franco was fond of, and Hitler was fond of. It's not. Trump is 180. He said Trump doesn't know anything about the economy. He was a horrible president. Well, take some of the things he says out, but just sort of fight it. If you look at it on paper, the Trump presidency was even during COVID in many respects was pretty damn successful on every metric. It's why he scores so much better on the economy. So I just, there's a delusional part of Mark Cuban. He's volatile. He's big. He's kind of a bully. He screams and yells and pounds his chest. But what he's saying is stupid. I mean, I like him. Trust me, I like the guy. But this Trump criticism, if you just kind of go down and factually, look at every piece of it, it is it's so dumb. I don't. Can he be that dumb? I mean, the guy sold his business to Yahoo for $5 billion back in the day, that a business that ultimately blew up. You would think he'd be smart that he got out of it at the top. I mean, but, I don't get it.
But Liz, to use Charlie's metaphor, 99% of what Mark Cuban is saying about Kamala Harris is wrong. I mean, he's in denial. He's in denial about her attack on wealth and her $4 or $5 trillion tax hikes. I mean, if you read this Wall Street Journal editorial, he's saying one thing. He's going in front of crowds and he's saying she's not going to do it. She's going in front of crowds, and she's saying, yes, I will do it if elected.
I think, actually, Larry, he's telling the truth about Kamala Harris, and that is that she's a phony. She's saying things on the campaign trail she doesn't mean, and not saying things on the campaign trail that she does mean. So what is he really telling us? That she's insincere and that her policies are just ginned up to try and win votes. And I think, at the end of the day, I think the most telling difference between Trump and Harris is authenticity.
Yep.
I think no one really doubts or questions that Donald Trump means what he says. Polling, actually, when people are asked this, 60% say, Trump says what he means and means what he says. And about 30% think that's true for Kamala Harris. So frankly, you may not like what Trump says, but you're pretty sure he means it. What does he look for? I don't know, the last 3 or 4 weeks, she has actually submitted to interviews because people were very insistent that they didn't know enough about her. They wanted to know about her policies. I don't think they've learned a thing, and that's why she isn't doing better.
That word authenticity is so many people are using it now. Senators, I'm hearing it everywhere. And I always thought that was going to be a big thing, Liz. You can't sit around and saying, well, I said this 4 years ago, but I don't believe it. And that's what she kept saying. My gut tells me, it's just like in real life. If somebody denies something they keep saying, then they say, I don't really believe it. You sort of downgrade. You say they don't have a strong character. They don't have any credibility. I'm not going to believe them. And you can generalize that. That's what the American voter seems to be saying. We don't believe you. You're not authentic.
That's right.
Whereas he is. We do believe him, warts and all. And by the way, I say to both of you, I know polls aren't votes. I say this 1,000 times. His favorabilities are 50 plus. He's never had that before. Yeah. Charlie.
And Larry, can I make one other comment about this authenticity thing?
Yes.
When did we last hear this as a real criticism of a candidate? 2016, voters decided that Hillary Clinton was not authentic. That's when we last talked about authenticity.
Oh, that's a very good.
They thought they were going to shoehorn Kamala in without much of a debate, just by basically carry her through the $1 billion and celebrity endorsements. And the American people, to their credit, I hate using that term, the American people, because who are the Americans? There's no one American person, but it seems like the majority of the American people demanded that they know more, and as soon as they started knowing more about her, suffered buyer's remorse.
Yes.
When they really got to. And I will say one other thing about Mark Cuban. He is totally delusional on another aspect. He thinks he's going to have a say in this administration. He is not.
Right.
And I told him this. I said, you will be thrown to the side, Mark, the minute Elizabeth Warren sees that you're playing any role in any public policy decision. And he goes, no way, I'm more important. He said something along the lines, if I got to get the exact quote, I'm more important than she is. And just think about how delusional that is. Elizabeth Warren is a kingmaker in the Democratic Party. She will eat him up, spit him out, and she doesn't care how many billions he has. And he will have no say. He's just wasting his time here. I think part of him is like all these guys, him, Anthony Scaramucci. And by the way, I like both of them. They kind of want to be part of something, right? I mean, there's a yearning to be part of something. They weren't enough part, at least in Scaramucci's part, stance or Cuban. They weren't part of Trump. That wasn't going to happen. So they're part of this. But I got news for them. They are not part of this. This is a Democratic Party run by progressives. And, the fact that they represent business means the progressives look at people who run businesses as, just someone to tax and spend away. And
bad people.
Lock up in jail.
Bad. 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 That's the what progressives don't like business. It's why I was telling Congressman Jim Jordan was trying to track down Lena Khan for violating the Hatch Act, Liz, because she was out campaigning. And I said to Jim Jordan, and Senator Schmidt was on with us too, I said, no, leave her. She's a great weapon. Let her go out there. 43. She's prosecuting 43% of the market cap of the S&P 500. She's prosecuting them for antitrust. She hates business. She's a great weapon. Let her go out there with her message of hating business, because most Americans don't agree with that.
Yeah, and guess why some of the big tech names are no longer in Kamala Harris's column? Because their businesses are being busted up. And it's so stupid. I mean, she's going after the most meaningless acquisitions, meaningless in terms of what it means to the general public, like the Tapestry acquisition or something, on grounds that are so completely idiotic, just to kind of prove that she has power. She's completely power mad, I think. And so, yes, day one, if Trump is elected, day one of his administration, she is gone, and everyone will cheer. Even her office, people are basically in uproar about some of these things she's tackled that no one really is interested in or excited about except for Lena Khan. So,
are you saying, Liz,
ideologues are not the people who should be running a government?
Liz, are you saying it's not a pressing public policy concern that Microsoft might have a leg up in the video game business?
Oh, no.
Well, what about Tapestry and the handbag business? That's the one that really probably has huge popular
That's the one you're really worried about. I know.
She's busting. Go through the list. She's busting every major tech company. She's busting credit card companies. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've never seen such a anti-business. America. Look, Calvin Coolidge was still right. The business of America is business. I'm sorry.
By the way, Larry, you wonder why Jeff Bezos stopped. Now, a lot of people are saying Jeff Bezos is scared of Trump. That's why he did not endorse any candidate that wants to play neutral. I don't believe that's the case. Jeff Bezos has buyer's remorse. He knows that the left of this party is horrendous when it comes to his business. And it's not your old Bill Clinton Democratic Party. It's the Lena Khan Democratic Party.
Right.
One point I'd like to make, how did Lena Khan become a household name, at least among lefties? Well, she wrote something called the Amazon Paradox, which is all about breaking up Amazon. Now, you tell me that Jeff Bezos is going to support an administration like that? He runs the Washington Post. Yes, he runs businesses. He's still the chairman, I believe, of Amazon, or still a huge shareholder. This guy hates the left right now. That's why they're not supporting either candidate. He's playing it down the middle because he knows the left of this country will destroy business. It's not Bill Clinton's Democratic Party.
For
anymore.
sure. Liz, he stopped the editorial. He stopped the Post editorial. I mean, isn't that something?
I would love to think it is because he takes a grand view of this woman being unfit for the Oval Office. I hope that's the case. I do worry that it's more self-interest than that. But when you have the LA Times and this paper and the Minneapolis paper all declining to endorse Kamala Harris, it's pretty shocking, to tell you the truth. And in 2 out of those 3, I don't know the situation in Minneapolis, it is business people hopefully saying, you know what, these people are not doing the right thing for our country.
It's the Minneapolis.
I'm not close to Bezos, but I know people that are, and they tell me that he really does not like the progressive nature that
of course
adopted.
Of course.
And Lena Khan did right. I mean, this is what put her on the map.
I love that.
Amazon, I believe it's called the Amazon Paradox. Or something.
Yeah, no, I know. It was her doctoral thesis, I think.
Yes. I mean, I know. Something morose like that, lugubrious.
Liz, by the way,
you know what's kind of telling to me is that these organizations, the New York Times, the Washington Post, et cetera, are absolutely enthralled to young, woke people who have come out of journalism school, joined their ranks. Remember the uproar when Tom Cotton was allowed to write an op-ed for the New York Times, and all these people quit. Now people are quitting the Washington Post and the LA Times. You know, that's great. Let's just have them have a little taste of reality. And the taste of reality is what Charlie's saying. Not everyone is a progressive left-wing Democrat. Some people are moderate Democrats, and a whole half the country is a Republican. So maybe they just have to answer to a little bit bigger audience.
Where are these reporters going to go? I mean, I mean, they're going to work at Fox. I know.
They're going to go to. They're going to go to failing. They're going to go to failing enterprises, failing far left enterprises, because nobody wants to read that crap. Okay, woke.
I agree. Charlie,
you're go woke, go broke. But you've said the companies are pulling back. They're pulling back. I mean, Larry Fink is pulling back. I use him as a sort of metaphor for the whole thing. Jamie Dimon is trying to pull back. You can't make any money. Walt Disney, I don't know what's going to happen to Disney, but these companies are in disarray. And Elon Musk comes in and saves Twitter, X, wipes out the woke, okay?
You know,
Elon Musk is the most powerful, after Donald Trump, I think Elon Musk the most powerful political figure in the country right now.
I think you're right.
And they
here's
hate
what
him
I would
for
say.
it, Larry.
And they,
Yes.
they do
Yes.
hate him for it.
Yes.
And I would say this. The Democrats have a superior ground game. She has $1 billion in an war chest. That's an astronomical amount of money to raise in 3 months. That said, Trump has Twitter. And one of the differences between now and 2020 was that negative stuff about Biden in 2020 and Harris was throttled on Twitter and Facebook. That is not happening now. That is a huge in-kind contribution.
We're going to take a break, but we'll come on the other side. Democrats are running away from Kamala. They are running. They can't run fast enough. Their little legs can't move fast enough to run for the hills. Charlie Gasparino and Liz Peek. I'm going to come right back, folks. We'll be more money in politics.
Sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Larry Kudlow. From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show. Now, it's time for Protecting Your Investments, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Larry Kudlow.
Hi, folks. I'm Larry Kudlow. It is time for Protecting Your Future. This segment is sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. We're looking at money and politics and how to play our cards. 10 days to go before the election. We're talking to Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, talking to Charlie Gasparino, Fox Business, senior correspondent, New York Post columnist. His latest book, Go Woke, Go Broke, the inside story of the radicalization of corporate America. Boy, is that book relevant. You know, Charlie, before he left, Jamie Dimon's in the same camp. He's running from Kamala. He's running away from Kamala. Larry Fink is running away from Kamala. Mark Cuban hasn't got the memo yet, so that's his problem. You got all these senators. All right, Liz, I'll bring you in on this. You know, it's despicable that Kamala is talking about Adolf Hitler and fascism and all the rest of it. As Charlie said at the top, it just had nothing to do with Donald Trump. But that's what Democrats do. They always accuse Republicans of being Adolf Hitler and fascists.
True.
But you've got half a dozen or more Democratic senators. Okay, this is the cool part. You've got people in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Montana, Nevada, Ohio. They've got pro-Trump commercials. They're running ads with Trump in the ads. It's a positive ad, not a negative ad. I call them Democrats for Hitler, even though it's kind of a despicable story. But that's what they're doing. They're running away from Kamala.
Yeah, I think that's the best indication that Trump is really gaining ground. And the other one probably is that favorability number that you mentioned earlier. It is funny. The more they badmouth him, indict him, run terrible ads about him, threaten to lock him up and stuff, the more popular he's become. It just must be making the Democrats crazy. But when I saw, that the Democrat sitting senators, incumbent Democrat senators who were basically thought to be pretty safe, were running these Trump-linking ads. I mean, what could be a more bold statement that they know Trump is winning their state? And I think that's what they're telling us.
Charlie, your next book should be The De-Woking of Corporate America.
Well, yes. My agent is working on. You could be my agent on this because we like a very high six-figure advance. I'll give you 10%.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of which is the de-woking of America is literally the last third of the book or quarter of the book. But there's a lot more to go. I mean, listen, I don't trust any of these guys. The great Bernie Marcus, 94 years old and still kicking. I quoted at the end of the book. He says they're all cowards, so you can't really trust them. I'm paraphrasing, but these are progressives, and I put Jamie Dimon, who I like, in that category. I put Larry Kudlow in that category, who I like, David Solomon. They're all progressives. They're playing a long game politically, but make no mistake.
You don't mean Larry Kudlow. Larry Kudlow's not a progressive.
Did I say Larry Kudlow?
Larry Fink, I think you meant.
I need another cup of coffee.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
Larry.
It's okay.
But what I'm trying to say here is that the pressure's got to be kept on them by real reporters. And one of the things, Larry, that I tried to do with this book is do it as journalism, not as agitprop.
Right.
This is a factual book about what these companies did and how disgraceful it was for them to embrace some of the worst theories known in mankind, which is wokeism and DEI, ESG, critical race theory taught at the when you go to work. I mean, count justices. They put their people through this, and it's about time that people cover it.
Liz, let me get Scott a little bit left. I just want to know if Liz Peek's going to Madison Square Garden Sunday with Jeff Peek.
A friend of mine actually, has a box, and I'm very tempted. My issue is that, I've got to kind of do some work, but
I'll get you in, Liz. I'll get you in. I'll get you and Jeff in. I have boxes that have been offered to me. I'm not going to take it. We're going to be in Connecticut. You want to go? I'll be happy to do it.
Well, email me, and the answer is possibly. Is it 3:00? Is that what the time is? Is that what I heard?
I don't know. I have to find out.
I know. Let me know, Larry. That'd be fun.
You two both are wonderful. Thank you, Liz Peek and Charlie Gasparino. Folks, I'm Kudlow. It's been a great pleasure. We will be back next weekend.